Hi everyone, this is Galen Martling. I'm here with Unity Stamp Company and I wanted to make a bridal shower or a wedding card for today. So I had the perfect stamp by Unity called At the Right Time, and also I'm using hearts with that, and the stamp set is heart to heart. I stamped those on the top and the bottom. This is all stamped using waterproof ink onto watercolor paper. You want to make sure you do that. That is very important for any watercolor project. But in this case, I'm using Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. They're like a watercolor marker brush. And I'm also using these water brushes that one is like a medium tip and one is a fine tip. I alternate sometimes between both. I think for the flowers mostly, I use the fine tip. So now, when I add Zig Clean Color markers, I rarely just fill it in solid. I usually dab the color I want in, let's say, the areas of the petals that I want to have the color, and then I take the water brush and move that color around and to blend out that color from the brush. Now, some of the brushes might become dry and it's harder to do that with, but if you put the color on your craft mat and blend it out with the water brush, you'll see that you can pick up color that way. So there's a few different ways you can use these brushes. I chose the brushes because I have very fine, detailed little areas that I want to watercolor, and these brushes have a pointy tip to them, and so it's easier to get detail. Although you'll see I have other projects that use a much wider space or background or a larger stamp, and they work just fine, just with a little bit of a different technique. So for this one, I am using a few shades of pinks. Then I heat set all of the pink watercolor before I move on to the teal color. And that way it prevents the colors from bleeding in together. And so I go ahead and I do the same technique for the teal. I add one shade in there first, and then I come around and blend it out with a water brush. Now on each set of these, I finish with the dark shade of pink for the center of the flowers and a dark shade of teal to accent the center and the edges of the teal flowers. It just makes it pop a little bit. I do like a little contrast even in watercolor. Now, I'm not a professional watercolorist or colorist at all. This is what works for me when I make cards. So now I used different shades. Really, it's mostly this light blue shade I use for a background accent. I start around the hearts, and then I add water from the water brush and move water around, and that helps blend the color. And then you just add more color as needed and blend that out as you want. I wanted this to be very soft because it is going to be for wedding related, and I wanted it to be just very delicate and soft looking. Now again, I heat set that. I heat set a few different times. Now for the clock area, I wanted it gray, but I didn't want it to add color directly to the clock. I added color to my glass craft mat there and blended it with a water brush and picked up the color and added it to the clock. And now, again, it becomes very soft this way, adding a little bit of a shadow to the bottom of that clock and blending it again with the water brush to finish. Now I use some flat double-sided tape. That's more of a wider tape, but it's very thin and narrow for the back of this. And I add that after it's all heat set with double-sided tape there. And I added it with this extra wide tape, but you can use any double-sided tape that you have, or even flat tape. And then you layer it. I layered it with a silver shine piece of cardstock for a frame and added a little bit of gems to finish. There you go. Thanks so much for watching. You guys have a wonderful day.